Okay, so it is Tuesday, June 30th, 2020. Uh, and the redundant 2020. Uh, so all these revelations are coming to me, and the reason I really should do a whole video about how I can tell you so much about the book of Revelation. And it has to do with being a world like a captain planet. It has to do with having a Captain Planet attitude, which is like it's just another scale of patriotism as being like Captain Planetism. And Captain Planet is himself is clean energy and high tech. Captain Planet is clean energy and high tech. That's Captain Planet. You do the stuff that's good for your planet. So that would nix out fossil fuels, CIA, and the NSA. Uh, and then while we're at it, we should thump CERN. We should thump CERN and everything that they stand for, and even their hadron collider that they just finished. Uh, Screw that thing. But anyway, it doesn't do anything. It's not going to give you anything. I'll give you so much more with a computer and something that can control electrons. Not even bosons, just electrons. I just need to go to the electron level. And you're at the boson level. You're in pointless territory. You're scaling down pi 3.14. You're scaling down pi 3.14 in the world of relevance. Albert Einstein was the most powerful person in the entire universe. Uh, and he was at atomic in his day, and his stuff was atomic level. And that's what you need is just the atom, and to recognize that it is the building block of the universe. And then those building blocks are made of blocks, and those blocks are made of blocks, and those blocks are made of blocks, and those blocks are made of blocks until you give up, and then you actually just surrender and just accept that the rest of it is actually God and His Holy Spirit. Holding everything actually together, like putting everything together at the light speed that it was put together at. Adam and Eve surviving a light speed Big Bang during the sixth day of creation, and everything being cool enough on the planet. This thing happening at light speed in I think what at light speed, but if you measure it in sun revolutions, I believe this 24-hour day is about the sun revolution. And if you everything that you know about sundials and just the sun as a predictor, that the sun comes up every day and the moon comes up every night, and there's that light to govern the night and that light to govern the day, just like it says in Revelation, in Genesis. I'm sorry, in Genesis. And it's that light to govern the day, that's the sun, and then that light to govern the night, that's the moon. But you know what is with a little bit of radar technology and things like that, as you can tell, that the moon is just a rock. It just reflects off the sun, but it's still a light to govern the night. And then He made the stars. And then God made the stars. And that was phenomenal too. And then you know what those stars are? Those are whole other galaxies, and there's all this other stuff going on that He also made. And it's barely even covered really what goes on out there. There's some speculation as to what other life God made on the planet. You never know. It could be more like Star Wars than you think. But you know what the truth is that God made the world in 6 what I believe to be sun revolutions of the earth. And by the 6th, and it makes sense like this, is to say that on the 6th sun revolution, Adam and Eve were born. And then on the 7th day, God rested. And then I think what we're led to believe, after that, I'll have to double check, but I think what we're led to believe after that is that their life began on that 7th and 8th day. God rested, and then Adam and Eve could have been resting too for maybe a whole day. God breathed the breath of life into the dirt of the earth, the soil of the earth, and God breathed the breath of life into Adam, and then from Adam he made Eve, and that was all on the sixth day. And if you know anything about biology and the human mechanics and neurons, and it is a very mystical, spiritual process of being human. It is so wonderful and scientifically mystifying, and all this stuff, all this design that we come stock with. And but another thing of that being is that God says that in Adam was every man. So in Adam was all the genetic potential that we needed, and the rest of it I believe to be microevolution, which is awesome. The human race is actually pretty cool. We can really do a human race. Everybody who chooses to live on other sides of the planet can do exactly what we did. It was actually quite beautiful. And we have so many differences. Look at the Asian people, dude. Look at the Asian people's eyes. Look at Asian people's eyes. Look at how magnificent they are. They are so different, and their skin is wonderful, and they're so healthy. And everywhere, Native American skin. If you've ever seen a Native American skin is magnificent as well, and sometimes leathery. But it's so but some people look so incredibly healthy. Their skin looks so healthy. The Native American, the Northern American, like the Native American here, and then Hispanic, and then Hispanic skin, and then Latin American skin, all that stuff. It's all so beautiful. It's so beautiful. And then you know what else is black skin, and where black skin comes from, it's just amazing. Just from Africa, black skin comes from Africa. White skin comes from Northern Europe and northern North Northern Asia, Asia, and then where all the skin comes from is so beautiful. And then the Eskimos, who have dark Native American skin, and Egyptians who have light, fair Middle Eastern skin, like Northern Middle Eastern skin, fair Middle Eastern skin for the rest of Africa, which is supposed to be dark, black. And then those who genetically were outside will absorb the more sun. Their skin will be black, and their skin is shiny, and their skin is healthy, and they are healthy. And especially if they're fed, they're healthy. And their skin is dark, and it's magnificent as well, dude. It is also magnificent. you know and diet being just a huge thing. Your diet, what your diet looks like, that is how you're going to look, is by how you eat. Your diet and your natural genetics. But you cannot get fat you cannot get fat on your own. You can't get fat on your own. You have to eat food to gain. You have to ingest fats or things that turn into fat to get fat. And then there's that bloated thing where if you're starving, there's that your stomach bloats. That's a totally different thing. That's not fat. If you're getting fat, that's from eating, and that's good. And you want some. Everybody needs some fat and some muscle and all that stuff in your body. And God made the body to ingest proteins, carbohydrates, vegetables, minerals, all these other things, these elements, even on the table, to ingest all these things that that keep you alive, that sustain your body. And water, H2O, these things, these are good. Your body intakes these things in your body. These are elements. These are elements of life, of nature. You can look at them as elements of nature. These are basic elements: your proteins, carbohydrates, and your pretty much your vegetables, dude. Pretty much vegetables, proteins, carbohydrates, and vegetables. And then the vegetables have minerals, and minerals and all that stuff have elements that you need from. That's right there at the chemical level. And your electrons and all this stuff. You just control the electrons. You can do anything you want. You just control the stuff on the building block, the atom. You control the electrons. You control the universe. I don't know. And they're talking about bosons and all this stuff. And they don't understand E equals MC squared and time travel and stuff. It's right here. All this stuff is right here. So anyway, that was 10 minutes preface, just to say, the enemy right now is himself, the Antichrist. And you're just hearing it from me first, is because this is real time stuff. Nobody else knew this stuff. So if you go home actually just looking up actually this stuff that I start talking about, and you're just saying is that as fact, it wasn't fact yesterday. It's fact when you start watching this. As soon as you start watching it, that's when it becomes fact. So this is on my President YouTube channel, because I'll be running in 2032, and I apologize about the 2028. But I'll be running in 2032 to try to sync with the 8-year, instead of the 4-year. So I'll get more in sync with whoever's in charge at the time in their 8-year, when I can run in 2032. Trump will win this. Trump will beat Biden. Trump will beat Biden here coming up in the next year. Trump will beat Biden. Biden's flaky cracker. Biden's a flaky cracker, and you know what is it's been 8 years. It's just been an 8-year switch off, and I think you can just expect an 8-year switch off. Plus, Trump is way better than Biden. Trump is a better fighter than Biden. Trump is way more organized and way more planned, and he's way more powerful than Biden in the mind. Biden is, you just take 2 seconds. Biden is a flaky cracker. He doesn't even belong in there. He's an idiot. Biden's an idiot. Just looking at Obama and Biden and all this stuff, looking at Obama and Biden, talking about let's storm Area 51. No, dude. What kind of president says let's storm our freaking secret base, dude? What kind of organization talks about their secret base? But anyway, Biden's a flaky cracker. He's going to lose to Trump, for sure. Maybe worse than Hillary. Hillary won the popular vote. Trump's going to win the popular vote, and he's going to get the swing states. And then Biden's a flaky cracker. He's not good. And Trump actually has good stuff, and people are actually, you don't actually know. It's just like, I mean, people just so happen to be kind of thinking a little bit right now is like, and then this is basically what is to talk about right here. Is that, let me just get right into this. The 4 horsemen of the apocalypse have passed. It's over. Coronavirus is dead. It's over. Coronavirus was fishy, dude. It was so fishy, and everybody took it so crazy. Everybody handled it so crazily, dude. Everybody handled it really weird. And then not to mention, like, we were so ready for, like, the Pikachu cute mask and, like, all the different types of masks and all this stuff. 3M had all this stuff. Let's just do this stuff right here. I don't know, whatever, dude. But all the cute masks and colors and cloth masks and all these designs and stuff, it's like, how ready were we to make stuff like this? Usually a surgical mask is just that nice blue mask. That surgical mask is that nice blue mask. And then whatever other construction mask, I don't know what they're doing. I see some people with visors and stuff and double masks and all this crazy crap, dude. These people are going nuts about this stuff. And then in the end, it probably didn't even kill as much as SARS. But if you actually look at the rest of this, how coronavirus stems from SARS, which probably actually comes from New York City, anthrax. And if I'm right about that, I'm going to be right about a lot of stuff. And we'll see. We'll see if I'm right about that and how right I am about everything. So, the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse have passed. Why? Because, for one, is coronavirus death tolls I'm hearing are consistently going down, which is good. And which also means that cases naturally should be going down as well. Cases and deaths should be going down together. That is what makes reality sense. for a virus. And then that's the whole thing, is that this virus broke our reality. I mean, how weak we are for influenza is unbelievable. How weak we are at influenza. Our influenza science stops at our enamoring of the immune system and not science of the immune system. It's unbelievable. But the four horsemen of the apocalypse have passed. Why? Because coronavirus is dying down. And if it was, and that's just, if it's realistic, it's gonna keep dying down. We weren't gonna get stupider about it while it's dying, while this dies away. We took it hella seriously enough. And it freaked everybody out, and I don't think anybody really thought it was really all that realistic what was going on just right there and all that stuff with George, and then George Floyd and Rayshard Brooks and all that stuff as well. But there is not just this one reason that coronavirus, my evidence to tell you that you can think very clearly this way and very strongly in the Lord, that the four horsemen of the apocalypse have passed because America actually has defeated not just the fourth horse, or the fourth horse, which would be the pale horse of death and pestilence, but the black horse of famine and death. Famine. America has slayed famine in the grave. Not to mention, we can make food. We can make cheese food. We can make bread food. We can make milk food. We can make food. We can make salt food. We can make all this stuff. We can make sugar food. We can make sugar food. We can make it as much as we can eat it. We can make it more than we can eat it. We throw it away. Panera Bread throws their stuff away every day. We can make it way better than we can eat it, I think. Right? I don't know. It sounds like chickens. You can keep on making chickens as fast as you want, dude. They'll go. Those chickens will go. You just need a handful of chickens to get started, dude. And you just need a little oat or whatever. You need a little oat. You need a little, pretty much, whatever, corn. You can do a lot of stuff with this stuff. You know how much stuff we can do with corn now, too? We're making fuel out of corn. We're getting fuel from some... We're getting some burnable fuel in our burnable fossil fuel cars from corn. Like 15% of that, of whatever is the standard component, is corn-based. 15 or 20, 15%. Right? Yeah. 25 would be 75, 15 would be 85. 5 would be 95. Yeah. Okay. So the four horsemen of the apocalypse have passed. Why? Because not just coronavirus is dead, but because famine is dead. Famine itself. And why? Because Trump isn't going to let a famine happen in America. And I'm not going to let a famine happen anywhere with my potluck. And I think it's almost time. It's almost time to recognize while this readjusts here. It's almost time to recognize. It's almost time to recognize. How important this potluck really is, and actually just how realistic the potluck is. That it's going to happen. It's a potluck. Those flying saucers will tell you that the potluck's going to happen. And the potluck will tell you that those flying saucers are going to happen. They'll do both. And how you can explain all this stuff. Nobody else can do all this stuff. Nobody else was able to do it, at least not before me. I don't think so. I think, like I said, you're hearing this stuff first. So let me tell you, the four horsemen of the apocalypse have already, all four have passed. All four have passed. This is going to be a nice hefty video. All four have passed. This will be a good one to watch. All four horsemen of the apocalypse have passed. And I am the usher to bring in actually the millennial reign of Jesus Christ, which is according to the dinosaurs, it says it's not probably not even going to happen for another 14.8 billion years. I'm the MC of this thing. I'm the MC of God's absolute and maybe even potluck style party as well. The potluck is fun. Everybody brings a little dish to pass. Everybody gets to taste a little bit of everything. Everybody gets to try a little bit of everything when we do a big potluck. It's fun. It'd be fun. It'd be do a big potluck and do a bunch of crazy stuff and bunch of wicked and wild stuff and do crazy magic and all this stuff. Magic and extravaganza and entertainment and fun and war and fighting and weapons and fighting and martial arts and Goku and all this stuff and just like just all this really fun stuff. Art everywhere, artistry, entrepreneurialism, fun, free capitalism, earning money, fancy things, fancy stuff. Everybody gets actually way better. The American dollar gets stronger. It doesn't die. The American dollar doesn't die. It gets stronger, and then it goes into how to read Revelation. Let me tell you how I can read Revelation. Is that I can tell you a lot about what's going on in the world, but it is like I said, it is like being a Captain Planet. It is about being a Captain Planet. So, the combination of, being a Captain Planet and I don't know, I guess a combination of like the situation I was put in, me being a Captain Planet, and I think you just really have to mostly actually recognize how much how powerful I am in the mind and body and spirit, and how powerful that is to reality. This light is pissing me off. I was just sitting in this bed. So, oh no, I can't do that. Let's try this way. This place is gross, kind of. Oh no, I need to do it this way. That was a waste. Oh, that sucks. The light is over here. All right. There we go. Nice window right here. All right. So about being a Captain Planet, I'm aware of my power as an app developer, as this freeform martial artist, spiritual martial artist, mostly an inventor and an inspirer, but an inventor. I can do anything, and I've just myself personally seen the potential. You can do astral projection. You can turn into a ghost and do astral projection. You can do astral projection. What they talk about astral projection is real. That is incredible. You can do it on your own. God gives it to you, and you can. And that's promised through me. I wasn't going to study anything else in the meantime. I was only going to study this Roman Catholicism, do it in Christianity and a little bit of Judaism. From here on out. So, getting a bit more into the basics of this video, the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse have passed. The 4 horsemen of the apocalypse, it's over. It's already done. The good guys win. The good guys win. The good guys just have to finish doing their homework. The good guys win, though. The 4 horsemen of the apocalypse have passed. The good guys win. You just got to finish your homework. It was done from the beginning. It was over from the start. It's just like everybody's been saying. But it actually was time travel. Armageddon was actually a time travel war. And Revelation is the only way you can read Revelation is if you can read through the time gaps. There are time gaps in the meat of it. It talks about these delays. There are these delays. There are things that people, the American people, vote for that put a delay in between the Armageddon finish and the Armageddon start. And those are your delays, and those come from the Roman Catholic Church. Those come from the Order of Peter. Those are delays. That's not my stuff. That's Peter, who has died. But he's alive again through me. And this is Armageddon. This was Armageddon. But it's over. We just got to finish our homework. Peter's around. Paul's around. Everybody's back around in spirit right now, already, in this time frame. But it's with time travel. If you feel them, it's because they're here. But it's not time for them to show themselves. It's a big time travel extravaganza of Armageddon freaking blast out. Now let me explain this a little bit. One is the 4 horsemen have passed. The 4 horsemen of the apocalypse have already passed. That is a wrap in history. All of this stuff is happening right now. And it is, I think, if I'm not mistaken, you can be calm, you can be safe, you can feel comfortable, but get ready to see some crazy stuff. But feel comfortable because you sit down and get cozy. There's a lot of stuff to go through, and I think we have a lot of time. I think we have a lot of time before we can expect anything different. We are just about to do this. We are just about to usher in this new era of AD fully realized, which is Christ fully realized. And whether it's 1,000 years or whether it's billions of years, it'll still be amazing. But here's basically what I'm saying. There's way too much stuff right now going on. There's way too much stuff right now going on. There's way too much stuff. There's way too much that we just didn't get through in the universe. For me to think that God is actually ready to actually end it. And it is, like I said, it's somewhere, somehow, you have to account for these dinosaurs that have a 14.8 billion year carbon footprint. A 14.8 billion year carbon footprint. Where does that come from? Where's that 14.8 billion? Is it a warp? Is it from a warp from maybe an asteroid that maybe is the judgment, or some nuclear event, maybe, or something, some kind of crazy atomic or boson event or something, some kind of crazy boson bomb or something that turns you into salt or something from atomic war or whatnot. And maybe this cold ice weapon, dude. Maybe this cold ice weapon is why these dinosaurs are showing a carbon footprint of 14.8 billion years. Or is it that those are 14.8 billion year party animals that just get dropped off somewhere along the way? And it's just, honestly, there's no way you can actually say how long it's actually going to be. But basically, so this was Armageddon. This was Armageddon right here. God, this was it, dude. This was God's holy war. And it was the war to end all wars. It was going to usher in some crazy new beginning. Mars beginning. It was going to usher in a crazy new era of Christ fully realized, what God really meant. And it's just like Paul says in 1 Corinthians 2:12 and 13. I think it may be 14 or 2:13 and on. 2:12 and on. So 1 Corinthians 2:11, Paul says, only God knows the plan for you in your life, and only you know your plan for you. Only you and God knows your plan for you in your life. And it's a secret. It's between you and God and your brain, and no one can know your thoughts. He just goes so far as to say no one can know your thoughts but your own spirit. He just throws it in there. Spiritual mechanics. Your thoughts are spiritual. Your thoughts exist on a spiritual plane. And when you have a thought, it gets translated in your mind, and your mind does associations and neural connections to represent the code, the codex, the matrices of codex, in your complex, whatever neural connected brain. I don't myself have reason to study it that way. But just for a brain doctor, a brain science, that's what you got going on in your brain. You got neurons that are a metaphysical representation of your spiritual thoughts. And that thought and that metaphysical those metaphysical neurons can be predicted, encoded, predicted, even though it's where it decides to make space in every single time. I don't really know. So like knowing but you can run mini MRIs on your brain all the time. I don't think that's very good for your head. But you can run many MRIs on your brain. You can get the Neuralink surgery, I guess, if you need that. But there's prosthetic limbs that can work on a much greater plane than getting a brain surgery. Your brain is, so long as you have nerve endings, is your arm is connected to your brain. You can put something on your arm. You can put something on your arm that's connected to the neurons that connect to your arm, and the arm itself does not need a control pad. Your prosthetic doesn't need a control pad. It just needs mechanisms to work, and it just needs to be connected to the nerve endings in your arm. How about that surgery? How about getting a surgery on your arm instead of your brain? Why do you need those neural connections at the brain? That's invasive. And it's disgusting. It's gross. So that's Neuralink. I don't say no to Neuralink, because it's just say no to that too. Just say no to Neuralink for starters. But anyway, it's the four horsemen. Here we go. So here's the four horsemen. So like I said, I apologize, but it's just every day you get these revelations. And I thought it was about making haste and getting me to Area 51 so I can get my time travel stuff. I'm not far enough with Albert Einstein and equal MC squared, and I don't even think that light speed has anything to do with anything. I don't think light speed matters much for anything except for that is the pace of the Big Bang. I understand. I see that, and I want to know how you figured that out. How'd you figure out that light speed is the pace of the Big Bang? And the dimensions of the pace. How did you know that? And what are you looking at? Is that stuff? I say I'm not far enough with this stuff. I'm like, you gotta give me an Area 51. We just gotta get me pushing buttons and doing stuff and blah blah. We gotta get a potluck. There's stuff is popping off. The man of lawlessness, all this stuff. Blah blah. No, the four horsemen of the apocalypse have already passed. And if you actually read what these actually are, you'd see is this guy is a loser. This guy sucks. This guy's Wheaton Academy football. Wheaton Academy football, yeah, that is crap football. And they might be better now, but they were crap, dude, at the time. It's about like this: be and make joy and make praise, because it was just Wheaton Academy football. That's nothing. You can beat that with a bunch of girls for football. You can do the same with this. This is easy. Biden's a cracker flake. And the rest of the stuff is about the same as a cracker flake. This stuff is easy. Famine is easy. Pestilence is easy. Famine's even easier. McDonald's can do it. And McDonald's is run by Satan. Satan can feed them. Satan is in a lock from democracy. And Panera Bread. Satan and Panera Bread and McDonald's and America's democracy is that America just give away their extra Panera Bread, dude. We make enough to make waste here. We make enough to make enough that like the waste amount is if my sister actually did an article on waste. It's like there's significant waste. I don't know what the numbers are, like between 25% of your food do you waste to like 50% of your food do you waste sometimes. That people make so much waste that like 50% of food made gets wasted. 50% of all food made, can you imagine? 25%, can you imagine 25% of all the chickens and all the food made that gets wasted? How many mouths that'll feed, dude? That'll feed the greater majority of the starving people. There's not starving people absolutely everywhere, but there are starving people. And in Africa, there are probably a lot of starving people. It's from lack of, and you talk about corruption and lack of organization. That's Africa. Now that's Africa now. And their religions and all that stuff that they got going. The people think that they're God now in Africa now. I just met a guy yesterday who thinks he's God. He was a surgeon and a football player. He went to Syracuse. He was a quarterback and all this stuff. He's black. He thinks he's God. He thinks he was created, and he thinks he's been created a few times, and he thinks he's God. And he lives on the second floor here. He talks to himself all day long. That guy's scary. That guy is scary. That guy thinks he's God, dude. He thinks this is heaven too. He thinks we're in heaven, and he's in a nursing home. He's in a nursing home, and he thought, it's just whatever. It's just he's missing a lot. He's screwing a lot with reality with that. But let me finish. Let me get to this stuff here. So, nice hefty video right here. I talked about a lot of stuff. I might be me turning down on the videos a little bit, just because it's a little bit more inconvenient to do these videos right now. But we'll see. I'll probably be fine. But yeah, so I thought it was about making haste, but no, it's just about making a solid single Christian move. And my solid single Christian move is my presidency, is my 3032 presidency, and then all the help I can do in the meantime. And the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse have passed. Death, pestilence, and famine are completely behind us as soon as we can basically get a real strong grip on this homework. But famine is already past. Now let me explain this. My theory is my Truman theory, my 666 Truman theory, and my neo-Nazi to Nazism to all kinds of crazy stuff corruption theory. And here are the charges. It's a crime. These are criminal. These are just like World War II. These are criminals of war. It's a Truman and Hitler. These are criminals of war. You cannot do any of this stuff. But let me explain what this stuff is. Now, you think I need a whole nother video for this. I'm just going to keep going. Let me explain this stuff. One video. The 4 horsemen of the apocalypse have passed. Armageddon is now. And the Truman neo-Nazi effort was famine, things like war, conquest, famine, corruption, basically corruption, war, conquest, famine, and pestilence. Pestilence being, just like coronavirus. Being something like SARS or coronavirus or anthrax. Anthrax, and then if I'm right about this stuff, is actually the pale horse of death and disease and pestilence would have actually been anthrax, being the horse. And then again, with the red horse with the black horse of famine, that would be communism and the dictatorships of communism, creating famine during the Cold War, during 1951 and 1991. Famine. And during that famine, America is talking about, fear communism, blah, 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 blah. They're experiencing famine. How strong can their military be? They're experiencing famine. Their country is experiencing famine. Maybe they're just all the food that the country's making was going to the government. Maybe. Literally maybe. You get to know the enemy. Maybe. But it's that the people, the citizens, are experiencing famine all over the place. The reality of the citizens is that they're experiencing famine, and they're dying of hunger and famine. And that's all during the Cold War, right after World War II. Ever since World War II struck, famine in the world, and a steady trickle away from the American dollar bill and the American debt and the national debt at the same time as World War II and World War I and World War II, especially World War II, but also after World War I. Which, if I actually let me do my American citizenship here on Civil War. So, okay. Yeah. See, that's the thing, though, is our Civil War was probably our bloodiest war. We killed ourselves. And if you look at the debt, is that we pulled out $2 billion. We pulled out $2 billion that we don't have. And we just printed $2 billion. And we said, here, the strength of our math, the strength of the math of our dollar, the mathematical strength of our dollar is weaker. But here is some money, and you can go take it to these places that make stuff for a dime and nickel. And here's some money. And we're sorry about the war. That was terrible, and slavery's over. And what a wonderful thing. And then after that, no money taken out of the debt. No money taken out of the debt, dude. The debt stays exactly square for about 100 years. Over almost 100 years. And then World War I, and then we start getting sloppy. In World War II, we haven't stopped getting sloppier and slop. We haven't even slowed down our sloppiness. Our sloppiness is increasing. The increase of our increase is increasing of sloppiness with the dollar. And then the question is what do we need? Why do we need more and more government, dude? Why do we need more government? Why is it government that we need? We have a free market. We have all this stuff. We got all these companies. We got all this stuff. We got these jobs to pay. We got all this stuff. We got all these American mouths to feed. Why do we need more government? Why do we need more governing? Why do we need more government? We got Social Security. Get Social Security and SSI and SSDI. SSI, SSDI, food stamps. And maybe a little bit of housing assistance. SSI, SSDI, food stamps. You don't need anything else. Everybody else has a job. And you can work your way up in the economy. You can become better, and you can actually become a better and better doctor. You can become a better and better nurse. You can get out of where you are. You can give that job to somebody else who needs it. But the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse have passed. Pestilence is soon to be over, and famine is far from over. It's been over for eons. To America, and then think about this too as well. I mean, even while famine happened during the Cold War, America was getting fat, dude. America's making Wonder Bread at McDonald's. America's making Wonder Bread at McDonald's and Cheerios. Let's see. It's McDonald's creation date. Yeah, exactly. During the Cold War. No, after the Cold War. This is after the Cold War. So this is not McDonald's yet, but Wonder Bread. If you look at Wonder Bread. Wonder Bread is 1921. So America's just about to start getting fat. But yeah, I'm still thinking that let's see, the American famine. American famine 1930s. What's the famines? So I'm thinking that while the communist countries are dying from famine, has America ever had a famine? In other words, for the entire U.S. to suffer a famine would be nearly impossible without a worldwide catastrophe. However, there have been times in history where particular areas suffer from food shortages. Post-revolution, there is no record of large-scale starvation in the U.S. That's on Quora. And I do use Quora, but that's just one. That was just one thing that I read in there that the U.S. suffered from a famine. And I think that's kind of been like the whole thing ever since John Smith and all this stuff is that the American is capitalist and gracious with the SSI and the SSDI, I think too, and capitalist and go gettery. And it's the land of your dream and you doing your dream, where other lands, you have to understand, at the time you didn't have all that. It wasn't automatic. It wasn't an automatic. Uh, I'm sorry, going wordy with this, but man, so much to talk about. It wasn't an automatic gratitude point. They're not automatic gratitude points. Those are automatic gratitude points. Those are automatic. Those are dream maker points for people coming from these countries where their civilization is so corrupt that they can't even get enough food to the people. Even if it's famine or not, they can't get enough food to the people. And that's like the whole thing America saying is that America has food coming at it from all over the place every year, every year. And they're Americans making sure that the food gets made and that it gets delivered to America. So America was not, and so that's Donald Trump right there for famine. In case there's a famine, there's Donald Trump right there. Donald Trump will do something. Donald Trump won't make a huge farting expensive mess like Biden probably will. No, just organize. We have food already. Just get the food to the people and then get the money later. Get the food to the people, get the money later. We have plenty. Just ramp up food production. We have food control all over the world every year, and we have plenty of food. We have plenty of food and organization. We will never experience famine again. And after this, we'll never experience pestilence ever again either, and pandemic and all that stuff too. And we will never experience war and bloodshed. America will never experience another act of terrorism. America will never be the reason for a war ever. America will be completely fine and independent. So there will be a haven. There will be an American haven until Christ's return. And then me and my potluck and then Trump are going to ensure that is what's going on. And now let me explain this. The Bible and how I read the book of Revelation has to do with how powerful I am and how much stuff I can do. I can prevent famine. And I'm working on preventing all the more pestilence, from anthrax and whatnot, from SARS and all that stuff. Oh my gosh! And I'll prevent us from getting hacked again in our databases, in our structures, in our security, in our cybersecurity, in our military security, our camera security, our military's camera security, satellite security. I'm going to reinvent all this stuff so that we can't get hacked. And we can enjoy this stuff on our own, and you can do whatever you guys want, but this is what we're doing. Maybe we'll publicize maybe a little bit what we're doing a little bit, so you can have some too. People just got to get smart. You just got to get smart together, and you can make whatever you want. You can make your own socialist country that you want. You can make a hybrid socialist situation for yourself that is governed by the people instead of governed by a dictator. Make a people governing socialism. That seems like oxymoron. No, do that. Why not? You can make a commonwealth for yourself. Imagine these European countries that have been talking about their situation for such a long time. Why don't you make a wonderful commonwealth for yourself? Why don't you in Rome? Why does the Catholic Church organize common socialism? democratic socialism. A democratic socialism. Why don't we do a democratic socialism? That sounds wonderful. That sounds wonderful. The Jews would love to do that, dude. I think the Jews would probably love to work on some kind of democratic socialism. If they wanted to, they how about the Catholic Church? How about what? I don't know. How about I do it? How about America does it? That's fine. We could do democratic socialism. But it's just America has this, dude. America can do this. I vote for America doing this. This is a little more hardcore. Is square merit. And you get what you earn. Capitalism. Just capitalism. Square in capitalism is square merit. You get what you earn. But let me explain. So it's not just that I can stop all this stuff from happening in the future, and that nothing else was going to happen. It's just every day is there. Every day, the revelation runs as a paradox, and it runs as a paradox like this: is that as soon as you start reading it, right in the second chapter, really as soon as you start reading the first chapter, but in the second chapter, it starts already talking about time travel. And it actually starts talking about time travel. Time travel. Revelation gets started with gaps from the effects of time travel. And the Bible and history books turn into an absolute odyssey between me, President Douche Mega, my Douche Mega presidents, and Truman, who is the Antichrist. It's not Tesla. He's too lovable. This weapon is this guy who actually, he's my age, and he does this. He says, I'm gonna attack Dickie. He says, I'm gonna attack Dickie. And he goes so deep into attacking Dickie in his gamble for attacking Dickie that he gets wound up getting smattered on YouTube. He's doing it right now. He gets absolutely smackered on YouTube. And you know what? My tea here, so pleasant. What ends up happening is he goes so deep into double or nothing in his gambling routine that he winds up getting stuck out here. And how that happens is absolutely phenomenal. Because it is against all the laws of nature that he's even doing it. He's even doing anything. It's against all the laws of nature that he's even doing anything. So he's really in some kind of wicked web of tangled stuff. But basically, the Bible and the history books merge into one thing, Armageddon. And it's an absolute odyssey between me and Truman. And the whole fight between me and Truman is this epic classical thing. It'll get explained in history, in time, in history. This is epic classic. He's an absolute backstabber. I didn't do anything to this guy. He just comes out with all this stuff. It's unbelievable. And the hot breath that comes off your tongue when you say his name, it's unbelievable. And when you find out what he's been doing and what he thinks he's been up to. So, the Bible and the history books form one solid Armageddon story. And it's, like I said, it's an odyssey between me and the Neo-Nazis. Me and the Neo-Nazis being the CIA, the NSA, CERN, and Truman. And I don't even know, is that's just what was going on now. And then actually after this, so I defeat him here, but he goes to jail. After I do this, he goes to jail because I catch him in the middle of crime, of neo-Nazi crimes, being connected to and lying about being CIA. That's a big deal. You lying about being CIA and you lying about how you're using your resources and you're lying about all this stuff. That's a really big deal. That you can't uphold that stuff in a court of law. You can't uphold anything that you've actually been doing in a court of law. You're just a baby with all of this stuff that ends up being your weapon for your own future and your own life. And you can never hold it. And then it wraps around. And you know what it wraps around is, it wraps around after you get out of jail for what you're doing now, is that you are about to wage Armageddon when you get out of jail. As soon as you get out of jail, you're about to start waging Armageddon. And Armageddon wraps around the axis of the axis of evil, the axis of power, the axis of World War II. Rome-Berlin-Tokyo axis. The Rome-Berlin-Tokyo axis. Now let me tell you that what the Rome-Berlin-Tokyo axis should be called. It should be called the Rome-Berlin-Tokyo-Wuhan axis. Because those are the four horsemen of the apocalypse. Those Rome, Berlin, Tokyo, and Wuhan. Wuhan, China, not even Tokyo. And let me explain, because basically is like, so let's start with Wuhan. So Wuhan was the fourth horse. Wuhan was the fourth horse, and it will probably be proven to be anthrax, SARS, and COVID-19. Anthrax, SARS, and COVID-19, connecting to 9/11 in New York City. But 9/11, and that connecting like all the way back to the first horse being the white horse, being Rome. But more on that later. The third horse would have been the black horse of famine and communism during the Cold War in Tokyo, and Tokyo's uprising during the Cold War. Tokyo became westernized and Americanized during the Cold War, and the fight against communism and all that stuff, that crazy chic. And that being the years of famine, while America's westernizing stuff and doing all this stuff and making their moves during the Cold War too. And then that was a terrible Cold War. Never happened again. Terrible, terrible stuff. Absolute Truman-esque stuff. Then the second horse. So we just explained the fourth horse, the third horse, and the second horse being the red horse of war and the two world wars, being both started by Berlin, Germany. By Germany. And both world wars, and then both world wars, actually it's really funny, and then both world wars, my suggestion is that these world wars were all started by Truman. And Hitler could have started both world wars, could have been in effect during both world wars himself too, maybe. But that World War I and World War II are connected, and just like Mickey and Felix and Sonic are connected over almost 100 years, is because the people who make it are from the future, and the orders that come from all the stuff are from the future, and the orders come from the future. The people who make it are from the future. Mickey was made by me, probably. Here's the thing, is that it's okay to say Mickey was made by me. You know why? Walt Disney don't know who made it. And deniability chains all up the wazoo. Nobody knows who made Mickey. Mickey was made in 1928 by someone who's made in the future. Woohoo! Whatever. That might be my voice, dude. You don't even know. It's said that basically that there were Jews that worked for Disney, and Walt Disney was a known anti-Semite. And if you know anything about Jews and anti-Semites, is that especially during World War II, is that they weren't going to frickin' hang out together. And they say that there's Jews that work for Disney. So you never know who just might be making all this stuff. For everything from the French fries to the potato chips to the burgers to all this stuff, they might be made by good guys. Always. And the commands come from bad guys. But let the good stuff come from the good guys. And then you know what, is that I will take it up another notch. We'll eat a lot healthier, a lot tastier. After this potluck, we'll get a lot more natural flavors going. You can do that. Let me make a whole nother video. Part 2.